All right. So when I came here tonight, I didn't really have plans of telling the story, but then I remembered this one, and it fits into the theme, I think, in two different ways. A few years ago, I had to go to New York. I didn't have to go to New York for my friend's birthday, but I went to New York willingly for my friend's birthday. He lived in Brooklyn. I drove up there in my Ford Taurus, which had seen better days, and I drove all the way up, and I parked, and I went to the party, and I had a great time. I didn't have that great of a time. I was going to be driving home that night, but I had a time. And when I left, a friend of mine was like, "Hey, do you mind driving me into Manhattan?" Me and my girlfriend. It's now his wife. It has nothing to do with this story. But he was like, "Do you mind driving us into Manhattan and dropping us off on your way home?" Because I was going to drive back home to Westchester. I said, "Sure, no problem." And he won me over with driving him home by telling me that if I drove through Manhattan, I didn't have to pay a toll on bridges, which I was kind of broke, so that was a great thing. So I was like, sure. So I get in the car, start driving. Before I was even out of Brooklyn, I started having some problems with my car. Like it was shaking a little bit and it seemed to be overheating. And as I got to the bottom of the I think it was the Williamsburg Bridge or the Brooklyn Bridge. It was a bridge out of Brooklyn into Manhattan. As I got to the bottom, the car shut off as I was going down the exit ramp. And I pulled over to the side in neutral as best I could and tried to assess what the hell was going on with my car. I don't want to tell you how to live your life, but you should not park anywhere near or pull your car over anywhere near a New York City landmark post 9/11. This was post 9/11. So like, I would say within 20 seconds there was a police officer tapping on my window, like, "You can't park here," as if I was trying to park there. My car died, I just pulled over. So I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll move it. And so I got it started again, and we went a little farther, and then next thing you know, it died again. So, and at this point it was starting to overheat, and steam was coming out of it, and this was on New York City streets at about 1 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night. So the next time it died, because I was making my way towards the one gas station that I knew about, which I think was on like Canal Street or Houston. It was on Houston, and I was making my way there, and the car died again in traffic. And my friend got out and started pushing the car. And later I told my other friend, whose birthday it was, about how nice it was that my friend Andrew got out and pushed the car while his girlfriend sat in the back seat. And he was like, "Wait, why didn't you let his girlfriend drive while you also got out and pushed?" But you know, I wasn't thinking at the time. So, plus, maybe I was thinking. Anyway, we get to the gas station. I get to the gas station. I put some coolant in the car. I think, this car is going to be fine. This will be great. So I do like a K-turn to pull out, and my friends are getting ready to leave and go back to their apartment. They're just going to walk from there, and I'm just going to drive home. And as I pull out, my friend starts waving and points to the ground, and clearly all the coolant that I had just put into the car had poured out all over the gas station. So here I was in New York City, and I went inside and asked the guy if there was a mechanic on duty, which, that's the beauty of New York City, there was. There was a mechanic on duty at 1 a.m. on a Saturday night. And I didn't have any place really to stay, because at this point my friends did leave, because I was like, "Oh, don't worry about it, I'll figure it out." And they left, which now that I think about it, that was kind of mean of them. I gave them a ride. They probably should have, whatever. I'm sure I could have called them, but I didn't want to leave my car, because I was terrified of how much it would cost to get repairs done, leaving a car at a mechanic in New York City at 1 a.m. So I pulled my car over into where it needed to be to go into the mechanic, and there were two mechanics there. I remember these guys so vividly because I spent the next 5 hours of my life with them. The one guy was Indian, didn't speak barely any English, and the one guy was Haitian and didn't really speak any English. And the two of them hated each other. And together they argued and worked on my car. But at first they said they didn't have the part I needed, and because there was one other guy who worked there who spoke some English, and he's like, "We're gonna have to order a part, you have to come back tomorrow." I was like, "That's not going to happen, I'm staying," because I just knew it was gonna cost thousands of dollars to get my $1,000, my car that was probably worth $1,000 out of there. So I stayed with these guys, and what they proceeded to do was manufacture a part out of hoses that were hanging around the garage. And they built a new tube for my car. And the guy was like, "This is how we do in poor country." And I felt really good about it. He's like, "This will last for 2 weeks. No problem." Or no, he said 2 years. I take the hit. He said, "This will last for 2 years." So it only cost me like $200 because they didn't use any actual parts. They used literally like tubes and whatnot and zip ties. And they got my car running again, and they got it to hold coolant. It was really impressive. And also, but as I think back on it, terrifying that I then drove home at 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning all the way to Westchester. I got home and I was like, wow, that was great. These guys are really good. And then 2 days later, that part fell off while I was driving around and hadn't made it to the gas station yet. Like I said, I was broke. Then my car had to get towed to a gas station and fixed by an actual mechanic that wasn't forced to work at 1 a.m. That's my story. I survived it. I'm here to tell you about it.